Today we are working on Section 2.1. Chapter 2 is all about logic and reasoning. We're going to talk about different types of reasoning today. First, inductive reasoning is reasoning that uses examples or patterns in order to come up with a prediction. We will use inductive reasoning in many cases after investigations to come up with what is called a conjecture. Deductive reasoning uses logic and proof to arrive at that conclusion. We will use deductive reasoning in order to explain why our conjecture is true. During this video, you are going to be asked to do several activities. Please make sure you pause the video at these times before you do these activities, and then start it up again for the next activity. A conjecture is an educated guess or an idea that you come up with based on information that you have. You will be coming up with many conjectures throughout this geometry class. First activity I want you to do has to do with the chessboard. After you read through the question, I want you to pause the video and see if you can answer this question, yes or no, and give an explanation. For your next activity, I want you to look at the numbers in the chart. N represents how many numbers there are in your list. This column tells you exactly what those numbers are, and this column tells you what the sum of those numbers are. So for example, if there's only one odd number in your list, that odd number would be 1 and its sum would be 1. If there are two odd numbers in the list, those odd numbers would be 1 and 3, and if I add them together, I get 4. For this activity, I want you to finish the rest of this chart. At this last row, I want you to come up with an equation that shows this column, how many numbers there are in the list, relates to this column, the sum. After you've decided how they're related, I want you to use this picture to try to explain why your answer makes sense. I want you to use this picture here. Each of these lettered objects is a square, which means that all of the sides are equal, and the area of the square is the side times the side, or the side squared. You know that the area of square C is 64, and the area of square D is 81. From that information, you should be able to figure out the side lengths of those squares. Your job is to figure out if the entire figure made up of all the squares is also a square. For those three activities, you used both inductive reasoning when you came up with a conjecture, and you used deductive reasoning to explain why that conjecture was true. A counterexample is a false example to a conjecture. It only takes one false example to make a conjecture not true. If a conjecture has no counterexamples, then that conjecture is true.